Welcome back, everyone, to the 7th episode. I said 7th last week because I'm a clown. But this is actually the 7th episode of the Gaia podcast. As per usual, this episode is sponsored by the Mother Gaia merch store. Keep an eye on it, particularly for today, because there's going to be something coming out within the next couple hours. Go check it out. That means that it would be the 25th of October, not like if you're listening to this like 2 years later. Sorry, it's already up there. But go check it out, www.redbubble.com/people/mothergaia. We have a very special guest today. It is spooky season, so I thought that I would bring on a good friend of mine who also is crafty in the arts of Wicca. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Diana, and
you're
I
a
guess
witch.
I'm a witch. Yeah.
So I'm really happy that you're here because I have always been fascinated by Wicca and witchcraft, and I know that there's like a lot of misconceptions about what Wicca is and witchcraft and paganism and what part of that like links together and what's different. So what are some of the, tell me about your understanding of Wicca.
My understanding of Wicca as it stands is some people embrace it as a religion, other people embrace it as more of a life philosophy, but whatever way you do it, it centers around just worship of nature, of this planet that we're on and that we all have to share.
Oh, so I'm the deity.
You are, actually.
Yes.
Which is why I really love a lot of the conservation efforts that you make with your Twitter and with your podcast.
I appreciate
constantly
that.
Plugging that, so that actually does tie into it.
Oh, cool. Well, this
enough.
is even more related to this podcast and my character than I was expecting.
Yes.
That's perfect. What are some common misconceptions of Wicca?
One of the most common misconceptions, people conflate it with witchcraft a lot, and the two are different. They are often linked. I personally identify with both. I do both. But whereas Wicca is the more religious-ish side of it, which is about, celebrating the earth and celebrating the natural spiritual power that you have within yourself. Witchcraft is focused more on harnessing that through whether it be rituals, spells, herbalism, what have you. Some people, include tarot in that category. I personally do.
Okay.
But a lot of people just think that it's the same thing. So at first, I first got started off in Wicca, and my mom thought that was witchcraft, and she's like, "Are you doing spells in your room?" And I had to be like, "No, Mom," until one day she was like, "So are you doing spells in your room?" And I had to be like, "Yes, Mom. Don't come in. It's just lighting some candles and doing some stuff. It's fine."
That's awesome. So what's your goal with it? Why did you what inspired you to become involved in what's your long time goal for it?
I have only been on this path for, I guess it's been a little bit less than a year now.
Okay.
I was inspired by two of my close friends from home,
Hannah
and Kylie, and I actually have matching tattoos with the two of them, which is very fun.
Shout out to them.
Yes,
if they're
Hannah
listening.
and Kylie.
Hannah and
now
Kylie.
I have to send this to them.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Be like, guys, listen.
Good. Always share this podcast with your friends.
Of course. I've been plugging your Twitter like crazy lately.
I appreciate that.
But the two of them are very heavily involved in the craft, specifically because they both have had supernatural experiences. Hannah lives in a haunted house, and it freaks me out every time I talk about it. It's terrifying.
I love that.
She has some stories. But the two of them really sort of piqued my interest, and then from there I just kind of kept going and kept doing my own research. And for me, it really, one of the sort of core tenets of a lot of Wicca and a lot of witchcraft is that all of the things that you are supposedly doing with spells and rituals and what have you, you are speaking that into existence. You are willing that into being. And I think that there's something really, really powerful about that. I think that, as a queer woman, I think that a lot of what we have to do is sort of speak everything that you want into existence, because otherwise you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
And so that is sort of, I guess that sort of is my goal, is to, make sure that I'm staying aware of myself, make sure that I'm staying aware of the world around me, especially because climate change is going to kill all of us and pollution is crazy.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so it's about sort of improving my relationship with the earth and sort of trying to put good karma out there.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So I have... I'm starting a new section. And it's called Questions from the Community. And the reason that I wanted to start this was because I just had my community of 11,000 people all come together and vote on what they wanted to be called. And the number one voted thing was parasites. And I feel like that's just a little aggressive.
Just a little bit. I don't think I voted for parasites. I think I voted for something else.
So I decided that I would morph it a little bit and call them the pretty parasites.
Okay, that's
so
cute.
I like that. So these are questions from the pretty parasites. The first being, what is the worst spell or a spell that you absolutely would not recommend? That is from @atomic_Maria on Twitter.
Okay, well, Atomic Maria. I don't have like a specific spell in mind, but especially for beginners, I would not recommend at all getting into any sort of spell or ritual that is wishing harm on another person.
That's smart.
Because one of another tenet of like Wicca and witchcraft is that you're gonna get out of it whatever you put into it, and so
karma.
oftentimes it's karma. So whatever you're putting into this is what's going to come back to you, and there might also be unintended side effects or consequences of those spells.
Right. Is that why witches in movies always end up burning? Because they're like brewing potions to do bad on the townspeople, and then they end up being the ones on the stake.
Yes. Narratively, they must suffer, but in real life, also, it will probably wind up creating more issues than it solves.
Right.
And also, that's just mean.
It is.
Don't be mean.
Don't hurt people.
Try not to be a dick. That
Try
is
not
a
to be
big
bad.
part of Wicca. Just don't be mean to people. If someone's being mean to you, there are steps that you can take without trying to hex them.
That's good advice. Don't hex people.
Please don't. I mean, if you like really want to, I guess you can. Like, I can't stop you from hexing somebody, but just be prepared for consequences.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, anything that requires you basically blood magic or anything like that, don't mess with that. I don't even look into that because I don't want to know, because I would probably be tempted to do it just to see what would happen, and I don't want to do it because I have seen way too many horror movies and I'm smarter than that.
Yeah, don't do blood magic. There's a mod on Minecraft that you can do blood magic in, so just keep your blood magic to Minecraft.
Yeah, do it in Minecraft, but please leave it there.
Yeah. All right, so the next question is, can you rig the lottery in my favor, from @Jen8590.
Jen, if I could rig the lottery in anybody's favor, I would not be here right now. I would be on a yacht in Costa Rica. I would not be here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good God. I mean, I don't know. I know that there are spells and rituals you can do to like improve your luck. So if you want to try a couple of those out and then try to enter the lottery, go for it. But in terms of guaranteed success, I got nothing.
I wonder if there's any people that have won the lottery that attribute it to like enchanting crystals and like rituals and stuff like that.
I bet there are. That would actually
that's interesting. Somebody go look that up.
Someone look it up, please, because I there probably is someone out there.
Probably. I mean, how long has the lottery been around? Like since the creation of the country?
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe. Someone find that information for me. The next question I think is really interesting. It's from @ClassFollowers, and it is, what is your opinion on the stereotypical witch costume for Halloween? You know, the green skin, the big nose, moles everywhere.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I've dressed up as that in the past. I mean, it just, I really don't have a problem with people, like, dressing up as a witch for Halloween, because honestly, I understand that, like, the witch as a pop culture figure versus witchcraft and Wicca, like, they're two different things.
Right.
And also, I'm speaking here from my own personal experiences as a middle-class white woman living in the North who has only gotten into this for like less than a year, but I have never experienced religious oppression for witchcraft. I think it's because a lot of people think that it has died out and people don't really
pay attention
to it.
Okay.
So I don't have a problem with it. I don't see the harm.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's an interesting take on it, because I know that there are. I've personally met people that are like, oh, don't like when I was talking to someone, they were like, and I was talking about doing this interview, and they were like, oh, be careful, you don't want to mess around with that stuff, that's dangerous. And I'm like,
I mean,
it can be.
It can be. As a human being, I like it when people think of me as dangerous, but I am really not.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Do whatever. Have fun with it. It's Halloween. I mean, it's not like you're doing... it is a bit different if you're doing, like, some sort of racist caricature of, like, a Romani person or of, like, you know, a southern voodoo queen. I don't mess with voodoo because they are harnessing powers that are way beyond my pay grade.
Yeah.
I have the utmost respect for them, but I could never do what they do.
I was, I was in an English class that, it's like about travel, and our first paper had to be about Haiti.
Cool.
And Haiti is like the origin of voodoo. And we learned about that stuff, and like the whole idea of like the witch doctors and the like actual zombies. That's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's scary. I don't want to mess around with voodoo people.
Yeah. So, I don't know, if you're going to dress up like some sort of stereotypical witch, just don't be racist about it, and I think you're good.
True, yeah.
That's
just,
general
you know,
rule for Halloween,
stick with the green skin and the big hats.
Exactly. A little Wizard of Oz, there's no harm in that.
Have you ever listened to the band The Cult?
I do not believe I have.
Really?
I don't know.
The Cult is a fantastic band. They're actually one of my favorites. They... This is a question surrounding their second album that debuted in 1985 under the name Love. And Prout Rebecca on Twitter would like to know, what do the symbols on the 1985 album Love mean?
Well, this is the first time that I am looking at this album art. It looks like Egyptian pantheon stuff. It looked like hieroglyphics and whatnot. But I am personally not well versed in the Egyptian pantheon beyond like the Rick Riordan books.
Fair enough.
So I honestly could not tell you. It looks pretty cool though.
Looking at it, it's interesting because there are things on here that don't really make sense together.
Is one of them a UFO in like the top
that,
right corner?
I think
that kind of looks like a UFO.
I think it's a rain cloud.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can pull up Cult Love album.
I think it is most likely just a stylized, like little pictograms stylized to look like Egyptian hieroglyphics and to look like ancient Egyptian stuff, which is cool. But
see if I can zoom in on there. So that's it looks like wind.
Yeah.
Maybe some like snowflakes.
Maybe.
I don't really know what that one is. That one's just kind of like a funky Y. That looks like a rain cloud.
Yeah. I have no idea if any of these are real hieroglyphics, but
I think that one is the falcon.
Yes,
and then
that's
hand.
a real one. Those I think are real ones.
But this is actually no one could ever translate what these symbols mean. Like when I saw that question, I was like, oh, that's an interesting question. I looked into it because I was thinking like maybe if she doesn't know, then I can like look it up and then we can talk about it.
I do not know.
It was like a mystery. No one could ever figure out what those symbols meant. So go listen to The Cult. They're a great band. Specifically the song Rain. It's very chill.
Cool. Put it on my playlist.
What someone asked named @something what are your thoughts on the collective unconscious?
I'm not overly familiar with that term.
I don't know what it is either.
Let's do a little quick Googling here.
Google search.
Please, I don't know what that means. I probably am familiar with the concept, but I just don't know what that term means.
Collective unconscious refers to structures of the unconscious mind which are shared among beings of the same species.
Oh.
It is a term coined by Carl Jung.
Okay, I have actually. I think I have heard of this. Just the concept of like
a shared consciousness.
I like to believe in that. I'm not sure how much I think that it's true, but I really like that concept. I read this really good short story a really long time ago that was sort of centered around that, and it was this sort of reincarnation story about how this person kept getting reincarnated as every single like living person throughout history. Yeah. And it was all just like they were basically a god in development, but to become that, was it the egg?
Yes,
okay.
I did. I read that too. I thought that was so fascinating.
I like that concept.
It's because like there's like one god, and I think it actually has connections to like Hinduism ideology.
Okay.
But it's not like specifically what they are, because Hinduism is very big in reincarnation. Yes. But this is like a kind of like a separate idea of reincarnation. I always thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, I absolutely love that idea, and I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion on it, but I think it would be fantastic if that was true, and I think that way of thinking can help us to be more empathetic towards one another, which is something that we always need.
I agree. I think after I read that, I was like, it became easier to put myself in their shoes, because it was like, well, what if that was me? It could actually be me, just in another life.
Exactly.
Which is fascinating, but that would also mean that you would have to have lived through the lives of some of the most terrible people ever.
Yep.
Adolf Hitler and Mussolini and Donald Trump. Oof. But it's wild. I think that it's a really cool idea. I'm glad that we looked into that. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Cranberry_lad would like to understand, how would I join the Witchhood? And then I remember I didn't put it on there, but he did actually say that he wants to become a warlock.
Yes. Okay, Cranberry Lad. You want to be in the Witchhood? You're in it. You did it. Good job. Wow. Congratulations. Yay! No, but one of the things that really drew me to Wicca as a religion, and as someone who grew up with a pseudo-Catholic upbringing that was kind of abandoned when I was a child, it didn't really stick. Wicca is a very individualistic practice. You can do it all on your own. You don't have to go to a specific place or, practice at a specific time. You honestly don't even have to celebrate the holidays. You don't have to if you don't want to, or you can celebrate them in your own way, which is one of the things that I like about it. You can kind of structure it however you want. Cool. If you want to join a coven or start a coven, you can absolutely do that. All you have to do is find a couple of other like-minded Wiccas or witches or pagans and be like, hey, let's start a coven, and then meet and do things. That's really all there is to it. Some structures get a little bit more complicated, and I know there are like big covens that have like nationwide influence.
Wow,
and
really?
They have like chapters and stuff like all across the country.
That's awesome.
So that's a thing if you're interested in that. But honestly, I think you can do it on your own, and if you're like me and you're someone who does like to do this sort of thing socially, like I got into this because of my friends. And here I've had people, I talk about it pretty openly, and I've had people come to me and be like, hey, so how does one do this?
Can I get in on that?
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. We don't seek to convert people. Our friend was getting mad at me the other day because I joked about converting people. But that's sort of one of the things. We don't convert anybody. We're not, seeking to do that. Allie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She was like joking, but Yeah, she was like, "You're a bad Wicca. We're not supposed to convert people." And I'm like, "I know, but I keep talking about it." And then I have people like, it's been every other month come to me and be like, "Hey."
That's really cool. There's a lot just from that answer that I'd like to expand upon. First thing is you mentioned paganism. Is Wicca the same thing as paganism?
Paganism is more related to worship of pantheons that are pretty much considered dead, but they're really not. Like, there's like the Norse pantheon, there's ancient Egyptian stuff, you can get into the Greek gods and goddesses, all that.
Through being on Twitter, I've actually met people that do still worship the Egyptian gods, and I forget the actual name of it, but there is like a name for the Egyptian gods.
Yes.
And that's kind of like, it's not just called like Egyptian mythology.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like Christianity or Judaism. Like there's a set name for it.
Any world religion that you think is dead is not. There is someone out there somewhere who is still doing all these things and is still practicing because it's been passed down to them through the generations.
I think those religions are fascinating because very often they're the least problematic.
That is also true. You tend to get problems when religion gets organized.
Yeah, like
that's just how it be.
You know, in the Bible, there's nowhere that says that you have to go to church.
Yeah.
It says that on the seventh day you're supposed to rest.
Yeah.
And unless you have a church in your house, then you are breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Like literally one of the first rules laid out in the Bible. So that was interesting.
Yeah, that's
Are you a part of a coven?
At this current moment, kind of. It's a little bit more of a joke. I have 2 friends from back home who go to school in Philadelphia right now. And they're starting to kind of get into the craft, like a little bit, not as much as me, but they're getting into it. And I told them, I'm like, if you guys are still interested in this, over the summer, we can form a coven. We can start having like meetings and stuff, and we're going to call ourselves the Easy Bake Coven. Because it's fun.
That's a fantastic name.
Yes, and I am also kind of considering starting one here because I now have had multiple people approach me and express interest. And so, if I can like help someone on that path, or if we can just meet up and discuss like a witchy book club, I'm down.
In your own opinion, being in Wicca, would believing in God interfere with someone's involvement in Wicca?
Nope.
Okay.
Not at all. Because Wicca centers around the concept of the god and goddess energy. And so it's just these 2 beings that represent different facets of like the human experience. The goddess energy is the one that Wicca tends to focus on a little bit more. It's a little more female centered, but the god entity is just as important in his own way. And that is why Wicca and paganism kind of can go hand in hand very well, because a lot of people who are like pagan and Wicca and they worship like some sort of god or goddess in a pantheon, they see that less as like an actual being and more as just a facet of the god or goddess energy. So when you're praying to like Thor or somebody, you're not necessarily praying to a person named Thor who is out there somewhere and is going to hear you, but you're trying to channel whatever Thor represents to you. And so there are people who believe in angels and guardian angels. There are people who are Christian and still identify with Wicca and witchcraft. So you can absolutely do both. That's one of the things that I really love about it, is that in its own way, it kind of is a build your own religion.
That's really cool, because like I know plenty of people that have left Christianity because they don't find they think that Christianity is too conforming and it's very strict and rigid.
Yes.
And I grew up in a church where that was not the case. I grew up as a Presbyterian. I still identify as a Presbyterian. I believe in God and Trinity and whatever. But I don't believe that the Bible is a word for word instruction pamphlet about what God is about, because one, it contradicts itself.
Oh yeah.
Two, it is broken in Christianity is broken into way too many denominations for everyone to be right. And I don't want to write off God. Because it honestly gives me comfort. And even if I'm wrong about it, I'm comfortable in my belief, in my faith. But I do find that, the earth and life and like animals and people, that it's all connected. And so I think that's why I'm like so interested in Wicca, because there's so much of that, and it feels like it's like, I really like that term, the build your own religion, because that's what it feels like, and I really like that. I think I'm gonna have to explore a little more into it.
Religious Build-A-Bear, which it can make the process of sort of figuring out where you stand a little bit longer, and that's why for me there are still a lot of, like, our friend Allie comes to me and asks me a lot of questions because she's just starting to get into this. I don't have answers for her on all of it. I'm like, I don't know, you're gonna have to Google that one, because I am still sort of figuring out what I believe and what I don't, or what I'm willing to like consider, because it's not structured in any sort of institution unless you choose to join one. You can just practice on your own and just believe what you believe, and that's really what I love about it.
That's awesome.
I don't like being told what to do. So
that's totally fair.
This is a little bit more my speed.
So that was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot to talk about just out of one question. Thank you, Cranberry Lad.
What a lad.
Oh, I jumped. Where's the thing?
Go back.
Oh wait, wrong one. It's that one.
There you go. Okay.
This next one is from Mr_Riddle0.
Okay.
And it says, "Can you turn me into anything but a human?"
I'm gonna go back to the lottery question on this one. If I could turn people into anything but a human, would I be a person with student debt? No! I would be a snapping turtle.
Why specifically a snapping turtle?
Because I want to live in a lake, and if people come near me, you can just bite their toe off.
That's fair. They have a good defense mechanism.
They really do.
They're offense and
brutal
defense.
Little beasts.
Yeah.
I love them.
I would be a moose.
Oh, you'd be a moose?
Moose are my favorite animals.
So big.
They're
However
huge.
big you think a moose is, it's always bigger.
Did I ever show you the video? I actually got to meet a moose.
No.
Like 2 summers ago. I was so excited because
Awesome.
they're like my favorite animal. So
they're big boys.
They are. They were huge, and they were like young too, but they were massive. Like they were at least 8 feet tall.
Cool.
And I was like, I like put my hand through the fence, and its nose like came right up against my hand. I was like, I'm in heaven.
That's so nice.
What is your favorite spell from fiction? Says at ya boy Luca.
Well, your boy Luca. I don't know. That's a good one. I feel like just pretty much anything from Harry Potter, because those are just dead useful. I don't know. I'm currently in the midst of yet another D&D kick, so I could name a couple ones that are very useful as a fictional warlock. I don't know. Shatter was pretty cool when I used it the other night.
Yeah, Shatter's a awesome spell.
So helpful.
I think that there is like so much to. We have visitors outside our window waving at us. From like Harry Potter, I love like the what was it? What did Hermione do? Was it Trificus Totalis?
Petrificus Totalis.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it was like a body bind spell.
Yeah, that just like petrifies Neville in the Chamber of Secrets.
No,
or
that
Sorcerer's
was in the
Stone.
first. No, that was the first one.
Philosopher's Stone,
yes,
for my international listeners.
Basically, anyone who's not American. Apparently, we can't grasp the concept of a philosopher. God forbid we think in this country.
I really love that. In terms of D&D, I really love Hellish Rebuke.
I know.
I miss using it because my tiefling is dead.
I know.
Um,
R.I.P. Oriana.
She was a gem, and even when she came back to life, she wasn't a tiefling, so she couldn't use Hellish Rebuke.
It wasn't quite the same.
But,
she was back in business, but it wasn't quite the same.
Yeah, but it's okay. I like my new character, Navara. She's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
cool.
I think this might be the last. No, third to last.
Okay.
This is from I'm Andrew Sean. How is my great granddad?
It's a good question.
Is necromancy and talking to the dead a part of Wicca?
It can be if you want it to. It was for me this past Super Bowl Sunday. That's what my friends and I did.
Oh, right. You went to the mansion.
Yeah. On our very haunted campus. My friends and I took a Ouija board out. And if you do not know what you're doing with a Ouija board, don't. I only went because I was with my two witch friends, Hannah and Kylie.
People?
Yes, they're very experienced. They both live with spirits in their house. They have used this thing before. They know what they're doing, and we took a lot of precautions. And that is the only reason that I went with them and that we did what we did. So, I don't know, you could ask a medium. That's just not me. And I don't have a Ouija board with me. I also refuse to own one.
Really?
Because once you have it, it's yours. You can't get rid of it. If you get rid of it, that's bad luck. And whatever you've talked to, you can accidentally release.
I think the idea of a Ouija board is fascinating, but I just don't really think that I can get behind something that can talk to the dead that is made by Hasbro.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get that.
And I'm sure that it comes from I don't know how old Ouija boards are, but I'm sure that they were created
1800s?
Yeah.
Mid to late 1800s. There was a period in the Victorian era where, going to seek out a medium or going to a seance was a pretty popular form of entertainment for a lot of upper class people. It was just fun.
Interesting.
And so they did it, and so that was kind of when the use of a Ouija board became popularized, and then I forget the name of the guy who patented it, but then he started selling them. Yeah, that's the one. I don't know, but the practice has been around for a bazillion years, that sort of style of divination.
So the people that make Transformers and My Little Pony decided, hey, let's steal this idea.
Yep.
And then make money off of it.
Yes, they did.
Because capitalism.
It's more like capitalism.
This next question is from @TGNLNV. Do you need an aspirin after listening to Trump talk?
I need a drink after listening to Trump talk. Yes, pretty much. I make a point of avoiding it at this point. I pretty much only get things from secondhand sources. Whenever my brother tries to show me videos of him saying stupid things, I will not watch it because his voice just grates on me and I can't comprehend his existence.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Yeah, it's terrifying and I hate it.
This next question is the last question from JadaGeorge05. Would you actually practice modern day witchcraft?
I have.
And if you can you explain what that would entail?
I have. I have done on occasion just some pretty basic cleansing rituals, pretty basic banishment spells, just to help deal with some of the stress and anxiety that we all go through, specific problems that I've been having. I actually did my first real banishment spell bag this summer with my best friend. It was very exciting because there's a certain individual whom I will not name, who I was having to spend significantly more time with than I cared to because we have all of the same friends, and this person was annoying me, and I just, because of how our living situations are this year at school, I knew that I was probably going to be around them a lot, and I said, nope, we're not doing that. So what I did was, it was kind of my own homebrew spell. I took a bunch of herbs that are usually used to banish bad spirits and bad energies, and I mixed all those up and threw in some rose petals because I still want to, I didn't want me and this person to have any animosity between us. I wasn't looking for an opportunity to tell them off and be like, get out of my life. Because, as much as I would have liked to at certain points, we have all the same friends, and that would not work. So I just still wanted us to have, like, a friendly relationship. So I stuck all of those in a little satchel that I stitched myself, and then me and my friend was having a similar situation, so we did them together. And then we bound it up with some black thread, sealed it with wax, and then buried it out in the woods away from our house. And you know what? It worked. It freaking worked.
That's fascinating.
It's fantastic because I almost never see this person, and when I do, it's fine. They're not annoying me nearly as much as they did last year. And it feels great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I would really suggest that. I would just, be careful and make sure that, the intentions that you're putting into it are pure. And it's not like, oh, I want this person,
I'm
to suffer.
Banish them to the shadow realm.
Yeah, no, it wasn't anything like that. I'm just like, I want you to do what you're doing and have your life and just a little away from me. Like, just a little bit over there.
That's awesome.
And it worked.
That's it for the community questions from the Pretty Parasites. Next, you mentioned it earlier.
Yes.
I previously thought it was tarot, but then you pronounce it as tarot.
Tarot.
So that's the actual pronunciation for it?
I mean, as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
if it is tarot, that's news to me. But I think so. Now that you've said it, I'm questioning myself. But no, it's tarot.
Okay, cool. Can you explain how that works?
So I have my deck here. Basically, what you do, you can pick the kind of spread that you want to do. You can either ask specific questions about a problem or issue that you're having, or you can do what I usually like to do, which is just a more general, hey, what's my immediate future looking like?
Cool.
And so you are just asking the universe or any deity that you want to pray to guide you in this matter, and then you put your hand over the cards and just sort of feel it out, and then select them, and then you usually like arrange them in a certain way, so it's like the things that you picked for certain things like go different places just to organize it.
So it's kind of like you close your eyes and then like the hand of the deity like guides you to where it's supposed to go.
In theory, yeah.
That's cool.
That's
I really like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what the origin of that is?
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. I think like some iteration of tarot or that type of divination has been around for like a bazillion years, probably as long as religion. But in terms of what we think of as the modern tarot deck, all like the major and minor arcana cards, I'm not super familiar with their history. Okay. But
cool.
I think it's pretty European, but I don't know. I
Makes
could be
sense.
wrong.
If it's actually pronounced like tarot, then it probably has like some sort of like French origin.
Maybe. Who's to say? Not me.
Can you do a tarot reading for me?
Yes, I can.
Here we go. This is I was going to say it's live, but this is recording on Tuesday and it comes out. Would I be able to take a picture of the cards that are selected?
Absolutely.
So that I can show my followers what's going on?
Yeah, I take pictures of pretty much all the spreads that I do. I write them down and try to interpret them in my little notebook, so that way I can go back. I periodically will just go back to them and see if anything is put in perspective for me. Okay. But I just take a picture because it's easier than copying it down in the moment. So I have like a bunch of just old ones that I have not touched just sitting on my camera roll.
That's awesome.
Which is fun. This might not be super accurate. I've been meaning to get another deck because you are supposed to, if you do readings for other people frequently, you're supposed to have a deck for yourself and then a deck for other people, so that way you don't like mix their energies, and I have not cleansed these in a hot minute.
That's okay.
So, but yeah, we'll find out. So basically, you do most of the work, really. I'm just here to facilitate. So, I have like this, it's like travel size. They're usually not this little.
It's a little tiny. It's like hand size. I like it.
Yeah, and it makes it easier to like carry them around and stuff. And so I have it on the DL. One time I was hanging out with Maria, and she was like, oh yeah, you should do a reading for me sometime. And I was like, I have it right here in my bag. And so we did a reading.
That's awesome. Me.
You shuffle these. And do you want to just do
I'll
like a
shuffle
basic past, present, future, or do you want to do like something specific?
I like the past, present, future type of thing.
That's usually what I go for.
I'm really terrible at shuffling cards,
That's okay.
but that's fine.
Just shuffle it, and as you shuffle, I want you to think to yourself about, if you have any, like an area of focus. Like sometimes I'll do like my love life, sometimes I'll do my career, sometimes I'll do school, or you can just do very general.
I have something perfect.
Okay, perfect. Then think on that as you're shuffling, and then shuffle until you feel like you're done.
I think I'll put these together, and then it'll be nice and shuffled.
Okay.
All right, so cards have been shuffled.
They have been shuffled. Good job.
For my listeners. Okay.
And now it might be a little hard with this desk space, but if you want to just spread them out.
Okay.
It might not be pretty, but that's okay. It takes a really long time to get it, so you do it nice and pretty every time.
Let me see if I can just there
we go.
Push the table together.
Yes.
So I put it there.
Yes. You just want to spread them so that way every card, like there's at least a little bit of it on the surface. So that way you can like touch every card as you need to.
Okay.
Okay. Looking good.
Okay. Good.
Looking good. Okay. Are you lefty or righty?
I am a righty.
All right. Use your left hand.
Oh, go.
And
do I have to close my eyes?
You don't have to. You can if it helps you focus.
I want to.
Okay. You can close your eyes. And now I want you to really focus and concentrate on whatever it is you're thinking about for your past, and select a card. You can take as long as you need. If you feel drawn a specific direction, then just follow that instinct.
Go with that one.
Okay.
Should I look at it?
Not yet.
Okay, so I'll put that there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do I do this for the present now?
Yep.
Okay. I like this one right here. Okay. Ooh.
That's okay. It doesn't really matter. I just.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do one more for the future.
Yes.
This is what I need.
That enigma. Just follow your physical impulse.
I like that. Cool. All right. So we have 3. I'm going to take a picture of this real quick just so people can take a gander. And see what is going on here. Yes. Okay.
I got this lovely deck on Etsy.
You can see these you can see these pictures on Twitter. There will be a thread of everything that we have done today, so go check that out. All right.
Okay. So, for your past, you have here the 7 of Stars. For your present, you have the Knight of Wands, and for your future, you have the King of Cups. So, initially, what I immediately noticed is these are all minor arcana cards.
Okay.
So, that means that this is stuff that is within your control. With the major arcana, that's things like death, the fool, justice. That's like, if the universe has decided to screw you, the universe has decided to screw you. And that's what that means. That is like powers that are beyond your control, and all you can control is your reaction.
Golly.
But this is stuff that is in your control.
Okay.
So we're going to use my handy-dandy little cheat sheet.
Like that. It's like a little like instruction manual.
Yeah, it's so cute, right? So we start off with a lovely 7 of Stars. So 7, the number, refers to patience, knowledge. It refers to solutions that might not be action. You have to defend and understand the consequences of your past actions. The 7 of Stars specifically is patience after hard work or waiting for seeds to sow. And I don't know what you were thinking about or what you were focusing on, but does that ring true to you at all?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like I was thinking about like being away from my family in the past, and how I've been able to deal with that. So what did it say? It's like about patience and stuff?
Yes, patience after hard work.
Okay, cool. Because I was thinking about like I'm in college now, so I'm like constantly trying to do hard work and trying to do well, and but I do miss my family, and so I'm kind of thinking about like going home and stuff like that. So
cool. So for your present, we have the Knight of Wands. So the Knight in general searches for adventure, movement, and discovery. It's the spirit of a teenager, invulnerable and untouchable. The Knight of Wands specifically is intuition and action, strength and positivity.
Okay. Cool.
So you've been feeling that in your present?
Yeah,
lately?
actually.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about studying abroad, and I find that out next week.
Oh, you find out next week?
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting. I hope you get to go.
Thank you. I've been today actually, despite the rain, has been a pretty good day.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday was not that great of a day.
Oh.
But today I've been feeling like very happy.
Yeah.
And like I feel like I did good on my midterm.
Mm-hmm.
I finished a video that's going to be coming out in a couple hours.
Woo.
Go look at that. And that was like stressing me out for so long. So like I finally finished it. I'm really happy. And I took the first nap that I've been able to take since like last month.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I was able to just like lay down in my bed and fall asleep for like 2 hours. It was fantastic. So
good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like this specifically, it probably is related to your study abroad because that's adventure, baby.
Yeah, that was kind of like the overbearing thing, like being away from my family. If I do study abroad in England, then I'll be gone for 3.5 months.
Yeah.
So that was like, the overbearing thing.
Yeah. Okay. Then lastly, for your future, we have the King of Cups. So the King in general is about outward control, the face we wear to command the forces that shape our lives. The King is brimming with energy, motivation, and influence.
Okay.
So the King of Cups specifically is provider of love and fear, sea and land, ambivalence. So I don't know what that means for you.
Interesting. What was it? It was like King of Cups, the provider of love and fear, sea and land, and ambivalence. I don't know what that means. The love thing is interesting. My 1 year anniversary is on Friday.
That is true.
So that
Very
and that's the future card. So that's a couple days away. So that's interesting.
That's
This is cool. This is really fascinating. I think this is, it's like, it's not like too terribly specific.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like opening my mind to like the possibilities of what they could be. That's very cool.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really love about tarot specifically is because, do I personally think that the spirit of the goddess is inhabiting my body and controlling my left hand every single time I do this? I don't really think so. But do I feel like it absolutely opens me up to new ways of thinking or can sometimes force me to confront maybe something I didn't want to admit to myself that I already kind of know? Yes. And
That's
so
fair.
Either way, it's dead useful if you're feeling a little bit lost or overwhelmed.
Right. Definitely. That's awesome. Cool. Thank you for that.
No problem.
That was fun.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll pack up your cards real quick. This was very interesting. I know that at the end of the sometime in November, we're going to be trying to do like a fall fest.
Oh, really?
For the school,
That sounds
and
like
we were
fun.
thinking about having people doing tarot readings.
I know some of the Phi Sig girls were doing them out just outside here a little while, and I actually went and got my cards read by one of them.
Solid.
Yeah, it was pretty much
Were
just
they
like,
helpful?
you need to write more. It was all stuff that I kind of know, but it
was a good reminder.
It was a good reminder. It was a
Yeah.
good kick in the pants. Her cards were kind of, not yelling at me, but confronting me a little bit and being like, get it together.
Do your job.
And I'm like, all right, fine. I'll earn my degree here.
So typically for this podcast, what I like to do is talk about things that have happened over the past week.
Cool.
Today has given me enough to talk about. Like, this bullet point is literally trends happening on October 22nd, 2019. It is the strangest combination of trends that I've ever seen on Twitter.
Okay.
The first being Bill Taylor testified with opening statements that lasted for over an hour. Do you know who Bill Taylor is?
I am not familiar.
He is the United States ambassador to Ukraine.
Okay.
He knew about the whistleblower complaint and didn't say anything about it until it was brought to the public. So, and he's testifying against the president.
Okay.
but people are calling into question. Like, it really felt like his opening statement. I watched probably about 45 minutes of it because I didn't have time to finish the whole thing.
Yeah.
It did seem sincere, but it really just begs the question, like, why did he wait? The whistleblower was months ago. It was like over the summer. Why is it that he waited until now to say anything about it?
I think people, it's just probably scared and probably wanted to wait to see what would happen to that first person.
Somebody else is going to say it.
Exactly. It's just see,
but
hedge your bets a little bit and see what happens to that first guy before you decide to go out and say anything.
And there are 4 witnesses that are being called in to question everything. He is one of them. 3 of the 4 all say that Donald Trump broke the law and it has impeachable offenses, and the only one that didn't say anything works for the Department of Justice.
Well, that's not shocking.
Yeah, literally that same sentence is what everyone is saying.
I mean, yeah, sounds about right to me.
Yeah. The next trend would be that there is a woman by the name of Grandma Winnie who today celebrated her 100th birthday, and her only wish, and I quote, is to impeach that sucker.
Me too, Winnie.
I love her. The internet is blowing up. She was number 1 on the trending page on Twitter because everyone loves that a 100-year-old woman is going out and saying, we need to impeach that sucker.
I have so much respect for older people who are willing to call him out, because I think there is definitely a generational divide in how we tend to view politics, but there are definitely older people and like boomers who are on our side here, and it's not fair to them to be like, oh, it's all the boomers. I'm like, no, it's the rich boomers. It's the 1% that screwed it up for the rest of us, but a lot of people still can see sense.
Unfortunately, they are some of the loudest voices, which gives a sad stigma. I hate generalization. I very rarely put blame on any one group of people. I will have no problem with generalizing Nazis or KKK members or people that are openly racist. But, I don't think that just because you are born in a certain generation that makes you problematic. And, the boomers actually did a lot of really great things for the United States.
They freaking did.
It
was boomers at Stonewall, It was boomers involved in the civil rights movement.
Definitely. Yeah, boomers were some of the people that fought for the, equal pay and literally everything about, like, women and African Americans. Like, those were some of the most moving people. Unfortunately, now, they are a lot of people in power, but they come from lines of people who have always been in power.
Exactly.
And this woman, Grandma Winnie, is actually part of what's known as the Greatest Generation. They were the ones that they went out to World War II. So they're the generation before the boomers. And I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because, like, she's 100 years old and, bless her heart, but, people don't really live even to 100. So the fact that she's like 100 and still like angry about politics, that's so awesome, because a lot of people at that age are just like, I'm just ready to go.
And it kind of, I like that it kind of flies in the face of, the excuse that your parents give you when your racist grandparents come over. Oh, they're from a different generation, they're of an age, whatever. But I'm like, no, you don't have to
adjust.
Exactly. I'm like, grow up. That means you went through some of the most influential cultural revolutions that this country has ever seen, and you learned nothing. That's what that means if you're still racist in 2019.
Learn!
Like, and that's something that really frustrates me.
I agree.
And so to, have this 100-year-old lady be like, nah, man,
pull your stuff together.
Get it together.
I'd love to see Grandma Winnie, like, walk up to Trump and just, like, shake her finger at him.
Yes, please.
Someone make that happen. Get Grandma Winnie in front of Trump. Next, probably the most outstanding thing to happen, and not in a great way, was I think his name is Sean Crowder. Maybe he's a comedian / like YouTuber / online personality.
I know who he is.
He,
I do not like him.
No?
No.
Well,
Sorry.
he did something pretty fantastic today.
Okay.
He discovered that YouTube and Google were caught blocking Tulsi Gabbard's election ads in the United States for over 6 hours after the fourth Democratic debate.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and Gabbard is already suing them for something else.
Mm-hmm.
That's interference with an American election.
Yeah.
That is big, dangerous stuff.
Mega bad, not legal.
And, like, I'm not, like, a number one fan of Gabbard. I don't really have any problems with her. I just don't think that she'll get it.
The strongest.
But this could help her.
Yeah, honestly.
Because, you know, there was the whole thing about Hillary accusing her of being groomed by the Russians and being a Russian asset.
Mm-hmm.
And now Google is knowingly blocking their thing. There's the reason that this popped up was because there is a hashtag that was like, it reached number 2 that was hashtag Crowder exposes YouTube.
Wow.
And it was huge. Everyone was talking about it. And the way that he did it was he used a VPN to make his location appear that it was in a different country. Mm-hmm. And then once he turned the VPN off, it showed that his IP address was in the US and none of the ads were popping up.
Jeez.
So everyone was like freaking out. Like, there are certain politicians that are, and some of them aren't even politicians, that they're clearly being favored. Mm-hmm. Andrew Yang continues to be kicked off of MSNBC graphics. Like, there was a thing that said, like, cash on hand, and it was like the money that they had to spend to advance their campaign. Yeah. Andrew Yang had like $6.5 million, and he wasn't on there, but Cory Booker, who had $4.4 million was. So clearly they're trying to boot him off. And now we have Gabbard, who is literally like paying for these ad spaces, and they're not showing it in the country for the position that she's running for. That is dangerous. And I think that, you know, people are going to see her like fighting back. You know, there was the whole thing that she was going to boycott the debate. Mm-hmm. Hillary Clinton was accusing her of being a Russian asset, and which, you know, she's not exactly one to be making judgments about people.
This is true.
And now there's the whole YouTube and Google thing. I think it's going to push her up a little bit.
It might, but I don't know if it'll be enough to make a difference. But
probably not.
Not at this point in the game.
It'll get her voice heard a little more.
That's definitely true. I mean, mainstream media just needs to generally stop clowning when it comes to all this nonsense.
Agreed.
I'm like, just stop, because people are gonna find out. We live in an age where people will find out, and even though it might not be enough to cause any lasting harm to those platforms, it is enough for people to start thinking twice.
I agree. There was a certain thing said today by the orange person in the White House where he compared his impeachment proceedings to the lynching of African Americans.
First of all, no.
I don't have anything that I didn't add anything under that bullet on my script except for WTF.
Yeah. First of all, no. Second of all, no. Third of all, no.
It's like, how can...
Has anybody died? No. So calm down. First of all.
I can't believe that you could... How could someone be so ignorant like that? Like, I don't even feel like he truly understands what ignorance is. Or what lynching is. Yeah. That is so repulsive that he would compare the fact that he broke the law. Mm-hmm. He tried to interfere with our elections with a foreign government. Mm-hmm. And he's comparing that to when people, specifically African Americans, would be murdered because of the color of their skin.
Exactly. You're going to compare you messing up and then getting called out on it, as you should be because you broke the law, to stuff like the murder of Emmett Till, which to this day messes me up and makes me very upset whenever I have to hear about it, because he was a child who was kind of nice to a white woman in a store and then died violently and horribly. Like, you really are gonna sit here and make that comparison? Okay.
There's another account on Twitter whose name is, he's gone through many. He originally was Son of God and Man. He is immaculated. He gained about 127,000 accumulated.
There you go.
He accumulated about 127,000 followers, and then he got banned. And now he owns an account called Cuck for Your Sins.
I definitely follow that. Yep. That's the one.
He has the persona of Jesus Christ. And he has, that meme where it's like, look at me, I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
He took that and put a MAGA hat on it, and then it says, look at me, I'm the victim now.
Oh my god.
Because it's like every... I guess they're trying to... I don't know if they're like genuinely trying to make fun of victims, or if they actually feel like they're being attacked, which, we are, because we're tired of it. We're tired of people doing this shit. So it's, he deserves to be treated like this.
Yeah. He deserves way worse than all of this. He's been doing illegal things since before the presidency, and he has continued to do illegal things since taking the presidency.
Did you see that the court subpoenaed his tax returns, and they found 3 different returns for the same year on the same building?
Yeah. That's not... No.
That's illegal.
You can't
do that. That is tax fraud. Everything that he stands for should be, burned. For a lack of better terms, it should be burned at the stake.
Yes,
Get
please,
him out!
God. Oh my goodness. I don't understand.
On a more positive note, the last trend was that today, October 22nd, 2019, is National Nut Day.
It's not even November yet.
It's not. No, we have to have all the nut now because next month is No Nut November.
Oh, you're right. Okay, we gotta...
So, corn nuts. Do you know anything about corn nuts?
No.
They are a fantastic brand. They make small little they're like nuts, but they're just covered in corn puff.
Oh,
they're really good. I like them.
That sounds tasty.
They have they're kind of it's kind of like chips mixed with Cracker Jack.
Cool.
I like it.
I can dig.
They're really good. Corn nuts, please sponsor me. But I was really interested in figuring out why is there a National Nut Day?
That's a good question.
And I found it.
Okay.
The reason that there's a really big paragraph. It'll be in the description below. How to observe National Nut Day. To celebrate National Nut Day, have a snack consisting of raw nuts during the day and try this mixed nut bars recipe. Cool. Use hashtag National Nut Day on social media.
Interesting.
Liberation Foods Company created National Nut Day as a way to advocate fair trade nuts and promote healthy living.
Cool.
I think that is one of the coolest holidays.
Just for nuts.
There's very few holidays. I don't know if you know much about fair trade, but basically, you know how in certain countries you can get away with farming and then selling the products for huge amounts of money.
Yeah, inflating prices.
Yeah. So fair trade is the people farming and producing are the ones getting the money for selling it in the United States.
Sounds good to me.
It's a way for South American and Central American farmers they do it a lot with coffee. There's a lot of fair trade coffee out there. It's a way for them to get their fair amount of money.
Yeah. It's
not we're paying this farmer 16 cents a day so that he can go out and spend 14 hours picking coffee beans.
Exactly.
They're getting a substantial wage and they're making like substantial money off of it, which is fantastic. I thought that was really, really cool that that is what today represents, as well as healthy living. Because nuts,
always good.
Raw nuts are very, very good for you.
They're very good for you. They're fantastic.
So,
go eat some peanuts.
Last thing about that is, what the hell is going on today that caused all of these random events to happen?
I don't know. Maybe Mercury's in Gatorade or something. I really have no freaking clue. That's a lot.
I love that.
There's just something in the water, man. It's just that kind of day.
Let's see. Ooh, wrong button.
Uh-oh.
I have another section that I typically do called "What Did He Do?" And it's the section where we talk about Donald Trump and all the stupid things that he's done over the last week.
Gross.
But oddly enough, over the last week, he hasn't really done much. Despite the whole lynching fiasco. But it's been relatively quiet in comparison to the rest of the weeks of this year.
Yeah.
He did say earlier today that there is good news that will be coming out of Turkey, Syria, and the Middle East.
Okay,
but
I mean... his definition of good news and my definition of good news are two very different things.
That's fair.
That's got me a little bit concerned.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping that that's true, and I've been every day like praying for the Kurds. Yeah. I can't believe the terrible things that have happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really trust anything that he said.
Yeah.
The final section of this is something that I like to call This Week in History.
Ooh.
Where we talk about the different fantastic things that have happened over the last couple centuries.
Cool.
1968, Jacqueline Kennedy marries Aristotle Onassis.
Looks about right.
Which gave her the name that she will be remembered for as Jackie O.
Oh, cool.
I thought that was interesting. I love Jacqueline Kennedy. She was a fantastic first lady.
She seemed like a real classy lady.
She was. Earlier this year, Donald Trump compared Melania to Jackie O, and I'm like, no. And like, I don't have anything against models or sex workers or anything, but Jackie O never, posted that. Yeah, she never was that. She was very classy. Mm-hmm. And I don't even really have anything against Melania. I feel like she's trapped.
She's just along for the hell ride like the rest of us, honestly. That poor woman.
I know. Melania, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Maybe she was the whistleblower. She was like, please get him out of here.
I know. It's like, I just want to go to sleep. I hope so.
1977, a charter plane crashes in Mississippi, which killed 3 of the members of popular southern rock band Lynyrd Skynyrd, along with their assistant road manager and the pilot and co-pilot.
Well, that sucks.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I always thought that was interesting, because it's like, it was really sad, because I think it was actually their youngest brother. There were 3 brothers, I think currently the oldest brother is the lead singer of Lynyrd Skynyrd, but it was their youngest brother that was the original singer, and he was killed in the plane crash. So,
that's sad.
Yeah, it was that, like, I listened to a rock radio station back at home. Shout out to 93.3 MMR. Go check them out. But they typically do something to remember them around that time, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Taking it back about 500 years,
cool.
The Pope names King Henry VIII of England the defender of faith after defending the 7 sacraments against Luther.
Interesting.
This just so happened to be 5 years before he broke England from the Catholic Church to marry his second wife, Anne Boleyn. Which Anne Boleyn is my favorite of his wives. I thought that she was an absolute queen, literally, and figuratively. And I wanted to include that because like the Pope was like, you are a defender of the faith, and then 5 years later he was
nope.
like, I want to marry this chick. I'm gonna take my country and take it away from Catholicism.
A lot of people think that she was a witch.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
I love that.
Because apparently her and I think her mother, I don't remember, were involved in just like a little bit of minor spellcraft, and a lot of people think, it was a very popular opinion because Henry VIII leaving the Catholic Church was not a popular decision by any means amongst everybody. So a lot of English nobles thought that she bewitched him, and got him to stray from the faith.
That's
and that it was all her fault, and they were very happy when she got beheaded.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I had no idea about that. See, everything's tying together.
It's all tied together.
I love that. You are a English major?
Creative writing. Which is slightly more useless than an English major, but it's fine.
Well, that's perfect because this is also some creative writing. 1940, Ernest Hemingway's novel For Whom the Bell Tolls is published.
Oh, I love Ernest Hemingway. I haven't read For Whom the Bell Tolls. It's on my list.
I haven't either, and I wanted to read it. But I find Ernest Hemingway to be one of the most fascinating people in all of American history.
He's weird. Like, oh my god. His books make sense because you're reading them sometimes and I'm like, this is really interesting literature, but like, what kind of crack were you on where this is what you wrote? And then you learn about his life and you go, oh, see, that makes sense.
Did you know that he was involved in 2 plane crashes within 24 hours?
Yes.
If you haven't listened to Randy Feltface explaining the life and times of Ernest Hemingway, go look it up on YouTube. Like, pause this, go watch that. It's hilarious. I'll show it to you. But
Please do.
This guy was
know.
crazy.
Nuts.
He spent most of the 1940s working for the KGB.
Fun.
Yeah, so like J. Edgar Hoover personally opened a file on him. Because
Ernie, what are you doing, man?
Going back a little farther, in 1836, the match is patented.
That's helpful.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That's so much life of starting fire and arsony.
Yeah, exactly. Good times, good times.
Good times. Thank you to whoever patented the match.
Yeah.
It was...
It's not something you would think would have to be patented. Like, there's a lot of modern appliances that were patented so long ago that you don't even think about that. But it's like, wow, someone really had to go and file to make matches.
With copyright law, it's if you create it, like the patent is the design and name of that thing. So originally it was that one shape of the match, and it was called matches. After the person owning the patent has been dead for I think 20 years.
Yeah, it expires.
Anyone can do that.
Yep.
So that's why Disney is so able to get all of their source material from other things because they're like the Grimm Adventures have not Grimm Adventures but the Tales of Brothers Grimm they've been dead for like 400 years now.
Yep.
So
in the next couple of years, I will finally be able to publish and make money from Great Gatsby fan fiction, and I am greatly looking forward to that day. Have I written any? No, but do I plan on it? Absolutely,
it's
yes.
on the way.
My goodness.
Be on the lookout for it. 1916, 103 years ago, Henry Ford awards equal pay to women.
Rock on, Henry Ford.
Henry Ford was famous for being like fairly treating all of his workers.
Okay.
Which is, that's like so cool. I wonder what Henry Ford would think about today. Think about how his company's being run today.
I have no idea. I don't really know how Ford is being run today. I don't know anything about that.
They're like, I know their trucks are kind of blah.
Yeah.
Although there's a new Bronco coming out, and I really like the Bronco.
Oh, okay.
So I'm waiting for that. My dad wants to get one, so I've been hearing about it forever.
Yeah, I had to drive a lot of pickup trucks this summer for work, and my favorites were the Ram pickup trucks. I just like them.
They're fun.
They're fun to drive.
They're big and heavy.
Yeah.
I love
really fun.
I love when driving something and it feels heavy.
Yeah.
Like I drive a 2002 Monte Carlo, so it's a steel body and everything is heavy.
Oh my god.
And it was before cars really translated to like carbon fiber and plastics and stuff like that. and it's very fun to drive. And my parents, they drive like a 2008 Ford Focus and a 2008 Toyota RAV4.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the RAV is like an SUV, it's still lighter than my car because
Yeah.
it's bigger, it's taller. Mine's very close to the ground.
Yeah.
So when I'm driving it, like I barely touch the pedal just because I feel like I'm like
it just goes.
it's like last fact, we'll finish it off with this. 1960, Martin Luther King Jr. is sentenced to 4 months in jail for a sit-in.
Was that when he was in Birmingham?
I think so.
Rock and roll. That's what, honestly, goals.
We need more people like Martin Luther King Jr.
We just need more people who are willing to do a little bit of civil disobedience because, you know, if you're willing to accept the consequences, then go for it. I mean, my mom made a rule a long time ago. She's like, if you ever get arrested, I will bail you out the morning before they go to take you to county. Unless it is for, like, civil disobedience or something. Mm-hmm. Because she's like, you get a pass on that. Because she's like, I don't care about those rules. She was like, that is what people like MLK would have wanted. Yeah. So she's like, that's fine. But she's like, if not, you're spending the night in jail. And I said, okay.
There are people that will be arrested for, like, peaceful protest.
There were people who were arrested outside the ICE detention centers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, people, like, there's one in Elizabeth, New Jersey, which is not too far and right near the IKEA, which is very upsetting to think about an ICE detention center anywhere near IKEA, because IKEA is such a sacred place.
Right. Replace all ICE detention centers with IKEAs.
Yes. Everyone will be happier. We will all have better furniture.
I you know, when my original account got banned, it was because I made a comic about ICE. Oh? It had the Department of Homeland Security logo. It had Donald Trump, and it had there was another thing, and it was like it was in front of an army of like MAGA people, and it was the Flat Earth Society. Yeah. And I made that joke, and then I got banned for it, and that so irritated me.
You have to send me the forbidden comic then, because now I want to look at it. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, okay, forbidden content.
Yeah. There's I made a comic about how I got banned for that comic. Luckily, I haven't gotten banned for that
one.
For that one, but
it's kind of meta.
Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this. This has been like the longest podcast that I've recorded yet. We've just had a lot of compliment. Yes, definitely. We've had a lot to talk about. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And
this
talking.
Was fun.
This was a lot of fun. I'm sure that there's going to be a million more questions that come from the community, the pretty parasites. So
yes,
we might have to have you back on sometime.
Absolutely, I would love that. That
awesome.
Sounds like fun.
Cool. Well, is there anything that you'd like to plug towards the end of this?
I don't know, man.
Inspire some people to do things?
Plant a tree. Be nice to somebody who maybe you're annoyed with. Because honestly, you have probably also been that person annoying somebody. So just try to, I don't know, throw a little compassion in the world. And if you can, take a nap. Nobody likes burning out.
Big mood. Awesome.
So that's all I got.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you're interested, remember, go to the Mother Gaia merch store. There will be a link below. And keep an eye on the videos coming out later today talking about trees. Yay. All right. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.